Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to our YouTube live stream today. Hello, my name's Claudia. I'm a nutritional therapist and eating psychology coach with 18 years clinical experience. I lecture at the British College of Nutrition, the Nutritional Healing Foundation, and of course, I'm here on YouTube every Friday morning. I've just realized, I'm so sorry about this, but I've just realized all my boxes are in the background. I'm actually hoping to move house next month. I haven't exchanged yet, but like fingers crossed. So the whole process begins. So I'm just trying to do it slowly, pack the boxes. But before we get stuck into the voyage through our digestive system, I just wanted to say that we are launching our 10-day health reset, health boost, starting Monday, but actually the doors are open. The private Facebook group is already open, and we start this weekend with the serious prep. I'm going to do a live in the Facebook community at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. It's only £15. This is a one-time only offer because you get many Facebook lives with me. You get all this information, and you get live training, two fitness classes with incredible fitness trainer Tim Harris as well. So if you haven't signed up yet, I will put a link in the chat later, or you can contact me and I will sort you out with a link. But please come and join us, because it's going to be so much fun. And I've sandwiched it, for those in the UK, I've sandwiched it in between the two bank holidays. So hopefully it's going to fit in with your lives and give you a real boost before the summer. No worries. One lady's just saying she can't make tomorrow morning. Don't worry at all. It will all be uploaded and recorded and saved in the private Facebook group. I can't wait for you to join us, Margaret. So that's great. And Barb as well. I'm enrolled. Looking forward to it. Okay, perfect. Hope it works. We'll make it work. We'll make it work, Barb. We'll make it work for you. Perfect. So here we are, voyaging through our digestive system. Last time, a couple of weeks ago, we started with, where does digestion begin? Does it begin with the mouth? No, it begins with the eyes and the nose and our thoughts about food. We get all the saliva going, and we talked about the oral biome. And then we talked about chewing our food properly, portion control. I feel like we put the world to rights, didn't we? Then we looked at traveling down the esophagus, and we got into the stomach, and we got into reflux primarily. So I think that's where we left it. And I'm not sure if I mentioned about intrinsic factor in the stomach. It's another big factor with the stomach. So intrinsic factor is in the stomach lining, and it really helps us assimilate vitamin B12 from our foods. So vitamin B12 is found in things like poultry, eggs, for example, are very good for B12. It can be hard for vegans especially, to get enough B12 in their diet. But then it's not only a matter of getting it in your diet, but you've also need the intrinsic factor to help you assimilate B12. And the thing is, when people are taking omeprazole or Gaviscon, anything to help with reflux, is coating the stomach lining, which can really inhibit the absorption of B12. So I just wanted to flag that as well, and just make sure that if you are on any of these medications, that you ask your doctor to have, every 6 months or so, to have a vitamin B12 blood test. Can be very helpful. Okay, so we've traveled through our stomach, and our stomach is actually a very, very strong muscle. And so not only have we chewed our food and it had that mechanical breakdown, that there's also the muscle is acting on it, and also all the digestive enzymes are breaking it down as well. So what's happened is, hopefully it's into a lovely chyme, which is like a soup. And it's then going to travel from the stomach through the duodenum into the small intestine. Now, in the small intestine, we have these things called villi and microvilli. So if you imagine this here is a villi with the microvilli on top. And what the microvilli do is they increase the surface area of the small intestines. So the whole purpose of having all these lovely microvilli is to absorb as much of the nutrition and nutrients that we're eating as possible. And they used to say, you are what you eat. It's more like you are what you can absorb. And this is why we need all these lovely microvilli. And if you flattened out all your microvilli, it would cover the surface area of a tennis court, all your villi and microvilli, surface area of a tennis court. So that is how many folds we have in our small intestine. And if you imagine on these folds covered with colonies of great bacteria, good bacteria, hopefully, the whole microbiome. This is the cities, towns, colonies of all the bacteria. But there could be bacteria, it could be parasites, it could be yeast, there could be what we know as PP, which a PP is potentially pathogenic bacteria. On Tuesday, I gave a lecture at the Nutritional Healing Foundation, specifically on yeast and candida. And of course, this is where yeast and candida can really take hold in the small intestine, also through the mouth and obviously the vagina. There's a lot of transmutation can travel through the body. But you've got all these bacteria, and hopefully the good bacteria are elbowing out the bad guys. And we want to be nourishing these good bacteria. And the way we do it is through fermented foods like kefir, kombucha, sauerkraut, any kind of fermented live yogurt. Now, we know with live yogurt, some brands are better than others. We know that Yeo Valley and Onken are particularly good. They actually contain what they say they do. I personally, I don't rate Yakult or Actimel. There's too much sugar in them, and the sugar feeds the PPs, the potentially pathogenic bacteria in the yeast. So this is why we want to have a diet full of vegetable and fruit fibers and whole grains, because the bacteria feed on that. The good bacteria feed on that. So it's not so much we are what we absorb. It's almost like we are what we feed our gut bacteria, and then our gut bacteria play a huge role in our overall health. We know that it can influence our mental health. We know our gut bacteria can influence our skin function. It just every week there's new research about the widespread effects of these little bacteria that hold so much influence over our overall health. So it's a huge area of research and absolutely fascinating. But the bottom line is we need to nourish the good guys. We do that with vegetable fibers and fermented foods. So that's what we want to be fueling the body with. Now, for some people, they'll go, oh my gosh, but every time I eat sauerkraut or any kind of fermented foods, or even if I take probiotic supplements, I feel worse. So for some people, there can be a histamine reaction, and for some people, increasing the bacteria increases the histamine output. So that's a whole nother topic, and that's histamine intolerance and MCAS. But if that applies to you, then don't force the probiotics on you. You can go to health.com, HEALF.com, and search for histamine in the search button, and you'll see special probiotics that do not increase histamine levels. You've probably heard when you've been to health shops and things, you'd probably see, oh my gosh, there's prebiotics and probiotics and FOS, and also it looks like you're in a sweetie shop and you think, I don't know which one to go for. So when I'm personally choosing a probiotic, I look for broad spectrum. So I want to have lots and lots of different strains, as much as possible, just to give variety. Don't just go as we all used to do 15 years ago, or just have some acidophilus. You're better off having a broad spectrum. We know that prebiotics are basically food for probiotics, for the good bacteria. Prebiotics in some people can cause a lot of bloating. So it's prebiotics are found naturally in foods like bananas and Jerusalem artichokes, but they can cause a lot of bloating. I just go straight for the probiotics and make sure that you're eating lots of vegetable fibers to keep those colonies alive. Other probiotics, and I know you've heard me talk about this one so much, is Saccharamyces Bilardi. It's one of my absolute favorites, but it is actually non-colonizing. So some of the probiotics, it's like you're sprinkling seeds and then you're eating vegetables, and you want these colonies to thrive. With Saccharamyces Bilardi, it's completely different. It's non-colonizing, but it goes in and it just elbows out any fungal infection, and it's brilliant for diarrhea. If anyone has loose bowels, or they've eaten something dodgy, or I don't know, their grandson or grandchild comes back from school, or their child comes back from school and says, "Oh, Johnny was vomiting in the classroom today, Mummy," I would quickly give that child some Saccharamyces Bilardi to try and give them a bit more gut immunity, because the Sacroyces Bilardi massively increases something called secretory IgA, which is our immune system. Now, in our digestive system, we have, and our guts, we have about 80% of the immune system resides in the gut, because we're exposed to so many toxins and pathogens through our guts. It makes sense that a lot of the immune system resides there. So if you feel like you've been under the weather and you want to give your system a boost, taking a course of Saccharamyces Bilardi can be actually very helpful. The measure of secretory IgA, we can measure secretory IgA in stool tests. So we can have an idea of someone's overall gut immunity, but obviously that's quite expensive testing, as it's a stool. Okay, I'm just having a quick look at a comment here. I was told after a recent endoscopy that I had an inflamed duodenum. They said it was typical of ibuprofen use, but I don't take that or anything else. Okay, discomfort now sorted. Any thoughts? So I would just try some general anti-inflammatory foods. So bringing in turmeric, ginger, celery juice, just some soothing foods to help calm inflammation could be helpful. The ibuprofen is really interesting. So I had a client who had a stomach, I can't remember if I think it was stomach ulcers. He had terrible pain in his stomach, and I can't remember if it was actually ulcers. This was years ago. But so he'd been to this gastroenterologist on Harley Street, and I was helping him, and I'd got him off the dairy because I thought there was an underlying food intolerance. And yes, that helped his snoring. His wife was thrilled, but it didn't actually make that much of a difference to his stomach. So I got him on marshmallow root, and we were just trying to calm the whole situation down and work out what was going on. And do you know what it was in the end? It wasn't even that often, like maybe twice a month he had a headache. So he took ibuprofen on an empty stomach. And as soon as he stopped the ibuprofen, his intense stomach discomfort eased. So that was a big lesson for me. Because that hadn't been on my radar at that point. I was like, oh my gosh, that is number one question to ask. So let's go back to these villi and microvilli. So you've got all the good bacteria here. You've got colonies and colonies of them. You've got digestive enzymes, and you've got immune components. That's who's here. And then in between these villi, you've got lovely, lovely tight junctions here. My thumbs are the tight junctions. Now, what can happen is that these tight junctions can become broken and create gaps. So a food particle arrives here, the digestive enzymes act on it, and the nutrients are assimilated. This is the correct way, assimilated through the microvilli into the villi, into the bloodstream correctly. Now, what can happen is if you've got this thing, these tight junctions are broken and compromised. This is known as technically intestinal permeability, but it's also known as leaky gut. And what can happen is that food particle can go directly into the bloodstream this way. Now, this is not ideal. This is not normal. It creates an immune response. So the immune system finds this particle there. They go, oh my gosh, there's a foreign body, quick, attack it. And then what it can do is it can say, right, we've identified this foreign body. Let's task up more immune cells to go search. Are there any others around? Go search, go search. And so they, for example, if this is a gluten molecule, by this point, it will have become something called gliadin. So they go, oh my gosh, you antibodies, you go find more gliadin. So the antibodies, it's their one job. They go round the body, round. Where's the gliadin? Gliadin, where are you? Where are you? Oh my gosh, they've struck gold. They've suddenly found a whole bunch of gliadin. Do you know where it is? It's the thyroid. It's the thyroid tissue, because on a molecular level, this is known as molecular mimicry, gliadin looks remarkably like thyroid tissue to these immune cells. And this is one of the theories about how autoimmunity can begin in the gut. Through that leaky gut, tasking the immune cells, the immune cells becoming overreactive and discovering and attacking the body's tissue that is, of course, is not gliadin. So there's a lot we can do to repair these. We can repair these. So should we just talk about this for a minute? So repairing these the whole leaky gut. Now, quite often when there's a leaky gut scenario here, just to say as well, there's often damage on these microvilli. I'm just gonna put them like this for now, because there's irritation, there's large molecules here, partially undigested food. Maybe the person hasn't chewed their food properly to begin with. Maybe they're short of some of the digestive enzymes needed to properly break it down. But even as simple as chewing your food, it takes the pressure off a lot of the digestive system if you actually chew your food properly. Anyway, so you've got these partially undigested food particles here. And it can cause irritation, inflammation. So the whole microvilli can be irritated. If someone has celiac disease and they eat gluten, the entire microvilli can be wiped out, totally flattened. They're like that, totally flat, not like that. They're flattened, completely flattened. So there's a lot we can do. Obviously, if someone's celiac, they have to completely avoid gluten. But even intolerances can cause inflammation and irritation in the microvilli. So what we want to do is remove any offending foods. So maybe it's wheat is causing a problem. Maybe it's dairy. Maybe it's sugar. Maybe we're having too much sugar in our diets, and that's sort of fueling the yeast. That maybe there's a big yeast proliferation here across the microvilli. So we want to focus on removing what's offending, and then we really want to repair the gut lining. So this is where things like collagen is very helpful, bone broths, chicken stock. It's providing the L-glutamine, the chondroitin, all the collagen, all the components that is needed to heal. Now, these microvilli have the highest, I think it's the highest cell turnover of any cells in the body. It's one every 4 days, these cells can renew. So the gut is a place of healing as well. So once you remove the offensive foods, we work on repairing the gut walls, the gut cell lining. And this is where I think it's called gut, is ion. Ion is very helpful. And it's fulvic acid. It can be very helpful for repairing the gut. So you can look at, I can't remember what it's short for, ion, ION. Anyway, that's also very helpful. But bone broth, chicken stock, get into all of that. And then we want to, so we've done remove, we've done repair. The next thing is we want to repopulate want to repopulate all these lovely villi and microvilli, get them thriving and colonies growing. And then also we might need to add specific supplements. So for example, if there's a fungal overgrowth, a good place to start is something called DIDA, D-I-D-A, by Nordic Naturals. And that's got ginger, I think cardamom, it's got thyme, oregano, garlic, rosemary. It's completely natural, but it's very, very helpful. And it's naturally anti-parasitic, antibacterial, antifungal. So if you're not sure what you're dealing with, honestly, that is a good place to start. The way it works is you build up to 3 a day for 1 month. And then even once the symptoms have completely cleared, you carry on for the second month, 2 a day, and then you're finished. Sometimes oregano oil can be very helpful. Berberine, black walnut oil, it's very cleansing. Oregano oil I use a lot for clients who've had an E. coli infection. So like a serious food poisoning, I'll use that one in particular. So, and then sometimes with clients, it's really difficult to actually know what's going on. We can't, I wish I could just wave my magic wand and it would clear for everyone immediately. It doesn't always. And that's when stool testing is very helpful. So I used a lab called Genova Diagnostics, and we do this test called GI Effects, which is about, I'm afraid it's about £350, but you collect 3 samples over 3 days. And what they do is they culture anything they find. So bacteria, parasites, fungi, whatever it is that they found, everything they found, they culture, they grow it, they test different substances on it. So you get a report back, not only explaining how your digestive enzymes are functioning, how your assimilation is going, etc., etc. You get a report saying you've got Candida albicans, you've got Klebsiella, you've got all, whatever different parasite, and XYZ will be effective, but don't bother with ABC. So really, really helpful. And it can save, a long journey of repair of the gut. So let me just have a quick look. Excellent. Oh, how do you spell Saccharamyces Bilardi? Let me just quickly write it out. I'm terrible at spelling out loud. Bilardi. Okay, Sacharomyces, and then Bilardi, Boulardii. So I've just put that. Okay. You can get Sacroyces Bilardi from anywhere, really. From iherb.com is good. I had one lady who had a history of breast cancer, and she came to me for gut issues, and she'd been in hospital in agony with her gut. And I said to her, I was quite newly qualified, and I said, let's do a stool analysis, because you've been on such a journey here. Let's just do a stool analysis, so you're not guessing anymore. We know what's going. We can figure out, actually pinpoint what's going on for you. And the stool analysis came back: no fungi, no bacteria, no pathogenic bacteria, no parasites. There was only one thing: her secretory IgA was a little low. And I thought, oh, gosh, I haven't got very much to work with here. It's really strange, given how extreme her symptoms were. So all I did was give her Saccharamyces Bilardi, and of course we cleaned up her diet a little bit. And I didn't hear back from her. And then months later, I bumped into her in the street, and she started crying when she saw me. I thought, oh my gosh, this can't be good. And she was like, I have to thank you so much. It completely cleared. I was like, oh my goodness, Sacroyces Bilardi. There we go. Okay, right. The test is called GI Effects. GI effects from Genova Diagnostic, but you need a practitioner to order it for you. I'd be very happy to, if you just if you'd like to get in touch, that's no problem. How do you take the oregano oil? Okay, oregano oil it sounds pretty innocuous, isn't it? Because we all think about oregano, sprinkling it on our food. The oregano oil is really intense. And I would just have it depends what strength you end up buying, but just follow the instructions and take it very cautiously, because it is incredibly powerful. So unexpectedly powerful, I would say. And a lot of people, they say to me when they finish their course of oregano oil, thank goodness that's over, because it sounds more beautiful than it is, but it's very, very effective. So yeah. I'm afraid that not everything that I recommend is always tasting delicious, but it can be so good for us, can't it? So I think I'm going to leave it there. Why do I go to the loo 2 or 3 times to empty my bowels? So we are going to move through the digestive system. Next week, we're going to talk about IBS, which is often defined as alternating constipation and diarrhea, but we'll do a whole session on IBS and all the possible underlying causes, because it's a blanket term, truly, and it just means nothing. So we always, if someone's been told or diagnosed they have IBS, we always want to actually, let's delve a bit deeper and let's see how much of a difference we can make, because we can make radical differences to IBS. How long would a course of oregano oil take? I mean, it could be 10 days or it could be a month, 3 weeks, a month. It just, not longer. I wouldn't do it for longer. And I would also make sure that if you're taking oregano oil, that you are repopulating the good bacteria as well. It is quite strong. It just depends on whatever it is that you've been dealing with. But it's very normal. I won't leave you in misery with your question. Why do I go to the loo 2 or 3 times to empty my bowels? So it depends. 2 or 3 times is actually very healthy to go for a bowel movement every day. Like when you look at really healthy African tribes, for example, often they'll eat a meal and then they'll have a bowel movement, eat the next meal, have a bowel movement. So that's how a lot of, ideally, how a lot of systems work, right? If you feel that you're not having a complete bowel evacuation, so sometimes people feel it's in stages, or I've still almost like there's still more coming, but it will come later. We're going to talk about constipation. That just shows that the bowels are a little bit sluggish. And if we're not, alongside the nutrition, exercise can be very helpful, and particularly abdominal massage. If you feel that your peristalsis, that's the contraction and relaxation of the colon, the natural movement, if you feel that it's becoming a little bit sluggish at night before you go to bed, just like giving yourself a little abdominal massage, literally just pushing in. We'll talk about it in a couple of weeks. I think we'll get to the colon in a couple of weeks, and we'll explain abdominal massage, but it's very helpful for helping complete bowel movements, let's say. Okay, well, thanks so much for joining today, and wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and see you next week. I'll be here. Okay, everyone. Hope to see you on the program as well, the Health Boost. So sending lots of love to you all. Bye.